Ladies and gentlemen, we have some answers. At this time of the year, right before an NFL season, right in between, in the heart of the offseason, all of the NFL owners meet together and vote on a variety of different rule changes that our favorite league is going to experience for the upcoming season in 2025. And on today's episode, we are going to be going through each and every single one of them. Most notably was the Tush Push, obviously made famous by the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Buffalo Bills hopped on the bandwagon about 2 years ago. I definitely wish that we would have executed it a bit better in the AFC Championship, as I'm sure we all remember. But based off what we have seen, it has been moved. It has been tabled to a future meeting. Now, do keep in mind, this meeting in April is where each and every single one of the owners go, and they end up voting on some of the specific rule changes, and one of which was the Tush Push. And no vote was put on the Tush Push today, and it was being moved to likely the May meeting. Now, where the vote ultimately ended up standing, because I'm sure a lot of you are just like, oh, what's going to happen? Is this just going to be banned in May in the first place? It sounds like, per Jordan Schultz, that there were only 16 teams who were in favor of banning the Tush Push by itself, right? Only 16 owners were on board, and they need 8 more, right? Now, somebody in my comments section, when I posted a short video on this, somebody said, oh, this is just giving McKay, Jones, and Roger Goodell a little more time so that they can flip some of the owners and get this play out of the playbooks of the Philadelphia Eagles, the Buffalo Bills, and whoever else dares to attempt to use it in the 2025 season. But for now, this rule ultimately ended up getting postponed to May. In my opinion, say that you were to ask me, I don't believe that there are going to be 8 owners that are going to change their mind in such a short period of time. I think that it's definitely a polarizing issue. I think that some are just saying, oh, no, like we don't have the personnel to execute this. I guarantee you it's all owners who think that they will be able to execute it. Like, for example, there are a lot of QBs in this league that do not run this play that I think have a lot of opportunity to do it. I think that they would be more than capable as far as their size profile, as far as how their offensive line is all made up. So I think that there's a couple of owners that are hoping that their team could implement this into the 2025 season and or the 2026 season. So the status, folks, of the Tush Push is still up in the air. But say that you were to ask me, I have a feeling that it will still be a play that is allowed. But in 2026, I have a feeling that is when we will see what's going on. We do have some breaking news. And this is when it comes into an interesting rule. The Lions wanted and they proposed to reseed the NFL playoffs based on record. Okay? Now, this has not been voted on yet. As we all know, the top 4 seeds are the division winners, and then there's 3 wild card spots. What the Lions wanted to do was that the first 4 seeds was based off of record. If you win your division, you get an automatic playoff spot, but it doesn't necessarily say that you get a home game. So that has also been tabled all the way up until May. Now, what I do think that you guys need to understand, a couple of the rules that were passed already during today's meeting. Number 1, the NFL owners have passed a rule change that will allow both teams to possess the ball in overtime during the regular season. Now, this rule is interesting to me because great, like we have been waiting for this to happen ever since we saw it implemented into the playoffs. But the initial rule proposed 15 minutes, and the NFL just ended up giving them 10. I'm not sure about you guys, but if you're a solid offense, you could easily have a 10-minute drive. Or you could easily have a 9-minute and a 30-second drive downfield by itself, where the other team wouldn't get possession in the first place. This is all well and good. I'm just kind of scratching my head as into what's the point of allowing both teams to have a possession of the football if you're only giving them 10 minutes? That's my situation. But that is a new change in the overall with the overtime situations here. Now, some other rules that I think you guys were interested in. Number one, the Tush Push conversation, as we can see, is being pushed to the May meeting. Now, the NFL changed the kickoff rule to spot the ball at the 35-yard line after touchbacks, which I think the league is delusional here, folks. I really, really do. Because they think that by moving it to automatically starting on the 35, if there is a touchback, is going to increase the amount of kick returns. And they thought that moving it to the 30-yard line would do the exact same thing, but teams still said, screw it. We're just going to boot it out of the end zone in the first place. We're going to boot out touchbacks all over the place. We don't care. We trust our defense. I don't believe this is going to come even close to their projection of 40% of the time there's going to be a kick return. I think they would quite literally need to have a touchback start at the 45, at their own 45, for it to deter an NFL team in the first place from wanting to avoid the touchback by itself. They are so desperately trying to make the kickoff a thing, and I just don't think the kickoff will ever be a thing, at least up to their overall terms, if you will, right? Like right here, it says 60 to 70%. That is their projection. 60 to 70% of the time, there will be a kick return because they move the starting position up to 35 yards. Having a very difficult time unpacking all of this. They have refused as well, folks, to modify the onside kick whatsoever. As many of us know, we have been wondering, hey, listen, you completely turned the kickoff rule on its head, but still have not touched the onside kick. We're going to have to wait until 2026 if that is what we are thinking, right? So we have the 35-yard line. A lot of us were talking about that. And then one of my personal favorites, hands down, had to be this. The NFL, folks, now approves expansion to replay assist. How many of us in the chat have been wildly annoyed in the past that there was a phantom face mask or a phantom roughing the kicker or something along those lines, horse collar tackle? In fact, I can say that Josh Allen went through that a couple of years ago. I think all of us can agree. All of us remember that. There's zero questions there. But let me tell you what. Now, in 2025, folks, if, for example, a ref throws a flag on a phantom face mask, on a phantom horse collar tackle, fouls for hits on defensive players, tripping, running into or roughing the kicker to be covered in the process, now that is in line to be reviewed in replay assist. So say, for example, that any of those shit calls grace our television screen, it can now be overturned by replay assist. About damn time. Now, one thing that I wanted to put out there, because I know a lot of us were hoping that it would also be included in plays that were not called, right? Like, oh my God, where was the holding there? Unfortunately, that is also, or that is not included in this. This is only for shit calls that could be overturned, not for the lack of a call. Hopefully in the future. But then again, do we really want these NFL games to be, like 3 hours long? We shall see. And then also with the Lions, they did ask to eliminate automatic first downs on defensive holdings and illegal contact penalties. Super controversial rule, as many of us know, right? Like, some people get very upset being like, hey, listen, a defensive holding is super annoying because first off, that player is not getting targeted whatsoever, and you're going to give us an automatic first down. The Lions wanted to eliminate the automatic first down and just give them 5 yards to where they were because they thought it was silly, but the rest of the NFL did not agree. So where it stands, folks, those are all of the rules that have changed so far. As we can see, last rule has come up with the reseeding of the playoffs based on record has been tabled. I believe that we will be getting a good conversation and or an answer on both the Tush Push, which I believe is going to be passed. I don't think it's going to be banned in 2025, maybe 2026. And the seating situation is going to be also up for grabs, ladies and gents. I do need to give a giant shout out to today's sponsor, and that just so happens to be Kalshi. Folks, Kalshi is the #1 prediction market on the face of the planet. As you can see, all right, we have the Final Four coming up in just a couple of days. Auburn v. Florida, Duke v. Houston. Highly recommend y'all go check this out. It is the #1 place on earth to literally predict anything. I am talking culture. I'm talking crypto. I'm talking politics. Like, you can literally bet on politics. Who will win Wisconsin Supreme Court seat? It's all over the place. And like we said, they have, all right, all of the March Madness games on top of here. Use code DOMMAFIA, one word, for a free $10 for just signing up and dive into it. So, damn. Folks, if you are watching the replay of this episode, this is largely where I hop in directly to the live chat. So if you are watching the replay, I highly recommend that you turn on bell notifications because my live community is a part of the shows. Always, I like getting their feedback on the topic of the day in open conversation format over on the Dan Mitchell YouTube brand. If you are listening on audio, welcome. I highly recommend that you leave a rating and review if you are enjoying yourself, and also consider coming on over to YouTube because it's time to get into the questions that we will see. They have to give each team 3 timeouts. Friggin' Falco. I think Friggin' Falco, and by the way, I love the name there. I think he was addressing how they ended up rotating and changing up a tad the overtime rules. I hope that that's the case. I have not read anything in depth on exactly what all of it entails, because typically overtime, I wanted to say it was like 2 timeouts apiece. Like, let me know. But hopefully, since it is 10 minutes, if you are a solid team, you could very easily run a 10-minute offensive drive. And the point of allowing both teams to touch the football would almost be dumb. But I don't know. That's me. Scott has just come in with a $10 donation. Thank you so much, Scott. I sincerely appreciate that. Dan, I know we're talking about this, but you have 2 sleepers in the draft I think you should look at. Nick Nash from San Jose State, wide receiver, and Kobe Bryant, cornerback from Kansas. Sleepers in the draft. Well, let me tell you what, man. It is now April, and this is largely going to be a month where I look at a lot of the sleepers and make it happen. Damn, we have RM56 has come in and said, there's a rule change Brett Coleman suggested that's really good. Remove the Hall of Fame game and add another bye week. Shift the weeks a smidge so the Super Bowl is still the first Sunday or February. Damn. You know what? How I would like that is, don't even necessarily remove the Hall of Fame game, but just add an additional bye week anyway, a league-wide bye week, and make that second bye week sort of like a Pro Bowl, right? Like sort of like an All-Star week that we see in baseball, that we see in the NBA. Like, that's when you do the Pro Bowl, right? Like all of like those stupid little games that like you can see, have fun with, whatever. And then you still end up pushing the season further where Super Bowl Sunday aligns right with Martin Luther King Day. Well, no, one particular holiday where we would have that Monday off. I forget what holiday that it would align with, but there's a way to push the season back by incorporating one extra bye week where all of us would have off on the Monday after Super Bowl Sunday. I'd be all about that if that was the case. Cammy Poo 2915. Hey, Dan, I think the Bills should trade Cook because they are not paying him 15 or 13 on the tag. So I'm going to tell you what, Cammy Poo, I don't think that this Buffalo Bills team, at least while Brandon Beane is the general manager over here, has any intention or will ever use a franchise tag. He has never. Last player the Buffalo Bills have franchise tagged was Cordy Glenn. I wanted to say that was in 2016. I'd say, yeah. But I don't think that a tag would be serious here. I think James Cook is just going to play on his final year his final year of his contract and say that he balls, then maybe we end up reaching an agreement with him. But more than likely, I think that he's just going to hit free agency and some other team will sign him. I think that's all we can expect at this point. We have Mako Morales. What is going on, Mako Morales? I would bring back first and second seed, get a bye week. That, hey, you know what? Say that I had a rule change, Mako. My rule change would be get the seventh seed out of there. I'm getting sick, right? Like I am getting sick of like the whole Disney Channel original movie energy that I'm getting like these days with the NFL. Like first off, like, oh my God, we need to stop the tush push. It's too hard to stop. Oh, what about player safety? First off, there's been zero proof of injury from that play whatsoever. And then the audacity of the damn participation trophy, 7th seed in the playoffs. Give me a damn break. Has a 7th seed won a game? Has a 7th seed won a damn game? Move the 7th seed out of this shit. Okay? They don't deserve to be in the playoffs. I know you're trying to make money, but you know what? Unfortunately, I think it's a hell of a lot more likely that we will get an 8th seed eventually than us ever going back to the 6th seed. But is what it is what it is. I hope Cook signs with the Chiefs and they continue to knock us off of the field. Red, White, and Bills likes Cook. Intriguing. Happy getting the gold jacket. Shooter's gonna choke. Happy getting the gold jacket. Shooter's going to choke. I think you're super pumped about the new Happy Gilmore movie. We'll see. Scott Vanaloo, a $5 donation. Thank you so much. Roger Goodell is still pushing for an 18-game season. I haven't seen that being pushed this year, or otherwise I would imagine that it would be a much larger story. But right now, as far as what we're looking at, it appears that the biggest rule changes / rule tabled is the reseeding of the playoffs is being tabled to another meeting. I don't think that'll change. Then we also have the NFL owners tabling voting on the Tush Push as well. That's not going to be until May, but keep in mind, only 16 teams voted to remove it where it stands. That's 8 short of where they needed to be. So whether or not that they're trying to guess on being able to find ways to lobby in the band's favor, we will see. We will see. And then they also had Steelers' proposal regarding contact with free agents during negotiating window passed with some modification on a 1-year trial basis. Clubs now have 1 video or phone call with no more than 5 prospective unrestricted free agents and to book travel upon agreeing to terms. Okay. Intriguing there. Bills fans will still tush push each other. Ban or no ban. Joe motherfucking Wrist. What's up, man? How you doing? Dead to Rights has come in with a contribution. So I like the choice to have him play on his last year of the contract, and he is referring to Mr. James Cook. Did not sit well with me about him making demands for $15 million. I like the player, but if Josh Allen can take a pay cut, so should he. So I think he spoke a bit too soon because the running back market really hasn't been too crazy outside of the Saquon Barkley contract. Like you're seeing a lot of 8 to 9 per year. And again, like here's the deal. Like he has like no leverage here. Like Buffalo has all of the leverage in the world. That is precisely what it is. He's 26 years old, or he's about to be 26. He's set to make $5.2 million. And say he doesn't play, then he makes nothing. And then he'll be 27 years old by the time that he's ready to play again and hit free agency. And he won't even get to 15 million. Like there's no way that he would get to 15 million. He would probably have to accept an $8 to $9 million contract since he'd be 27 off of a full year of no football. And his brother ended up washing out of the league at the exact same time. And I'm typically the kind of person that hates that comparison. Like where people are just like, oh, well, with James Cook, he's related to Dalvin Cook, so the same thing's going to happen to him. I hate that reasoning. I hate that logic. But unfortunately, that's how people think. That is how NFL teams will look at it. So I don't agree with it. And so I think it's very silly. But I think that's something that a couple of NFL organizations will think about. Bill 716, Dan, what do you think of doing a Diggs trade again? My proposal is 62 and Cook to the Vikings and 97 for Jordan Addison. No, I am good on any sort of current NFL player acquisition. We will see. We will see. Hey, Dan, Kenneth Grant and or Tyleek Williams, Matthew Golden or Isaiah Bond, Nick Emenwari or Maxwell Harrison. This is what we need. We get these players Super Bowl written in stone. Ash, I'm not going to lie to you. You were absolutely correct. You were absolutely correct. You know how I feel about Kenneth Grant, and you also know how I feel about Tyleek Williams. I think those are my two favorite defensive tackle prospects in the draft where it's realistic we could pick. Matthew Golden, I would replace Isaiah Bond with Jalen Royals and or a Kyle Williams, who would be in the 4th or the 5th. And so I like Isaiah Bond, but I just have those two players. But I certainly agree with you on Matthew Golden. He's the best wide receiver out of this draft. I'm sure y'all saw that thing about Tet McMillan, where he was caught on video saying that he hates watching film and he doesn't watch football at all. Like, that's a massive red flag. Like, that's like a Jamarcus Russell like type situation. And then Riss likes Revel. I also like Revel, but it's a roll of the dice of whether or not that he's going to, first off, be a day one contributor, especially based off of him just recovering from an ACL. But like, luckily he's young, right? And then, hey, listen, my thoughts about Emenwari, and Maxwell Harrison is an absolute dog as well. If, for example, we could walk away with, 3 of the 6 names you provided, I'm going to be very happy. It's all about what we bring. Scott Vanaloo just came in with another $5 donation. Vote was just passed a touchback instead of the 30. It's now the 35. Indeed, indeed, indeed. And Dalvin had way more tread, and they are different people. Cook is our second best player. We already have most of the fan base accepting not having any weapons at wide receiver because Josh is elite. I mean, listen, man. We'll see what happens with Cook, man. Regardless, he is on our roster in 2025, and we have all the leverage. We have all the leverage in the world. Spidey Munn! Wish the Bills didn't think their running backs were so expendable and easy to replace because we have 2 good backups. But why can't we have 2 good backups and a great starter? Keep Cook and get him paid. I absolutely love it. See, the problem is, right? So I do agree with you. But I think Benford was way more of a priority over him, so I'm glad that Benford was locked down. So I think that Josh getting extended was solid because really otherwise he would have been way more expensive in 2 or 3 years. So Rousseau was necessary because his cap hit would have been absolutely disgusting. So we can thank Stephon Diggs for forcing himself out last year because of it. I probably would have gave it to maybe not. So a Bernard, Shakir. So I'd say Cook was probably last on my list. Last on my list for an extension based off of priority. And so I know some of us might say, okay, maybe you would say that Greg Rousseau, for example, would be last for you guys, but we really had no choice. His cap hit would have been 15 million. So we had to do something about that. That or we release him, right? And he's been serviceable for us. And I think the most important position to an NFL team outside of a quarterback would be an edge rusher. So yeah, so I think James Cook for me was probably my last priority based off of everybody that needed an extension. And we were supposed to make some pretty difficult decisions. We just can't sign everybody, right? It just doesn't make financial sense. We could, but then again, do remember, we need $5 million for a draft class that's coming in. And where Buffalo stands right now with cap space, let me see. That's where it is. Bills over the cap. Yeah, we have $4.4 million where it stands right now. So, yes, we can go on ahead and we could extend Deion Dawkins, but what I think we're trying to do is to be in a hell of a lot better of a position because, folks, I have news for you. Like next year, where the cap table is, like we are only projected $13.9 million. Granted, we could restructure, we could extend some further players next week, but it's a miracle. It is quite literally a miracle that we were able to extend 5 of the 6 dudes we wanted. Each and every single team goes through with this. I think it was the right move. Spidey, by the way, how's Chattanooga, Tennessee? Tell me. So there might be a world. And so I'm not going to jinx it, but how do you feel about Chattanooga? Like living there. How do you feel about that? And Cook's brother did the same thing with Minnesota, and it was the wrong move. And then he was done by 29. Yeah, but so again, right? Like, first off, I hate that logic more than anything, but unfortunately, that's how a lot of people think. And that's how I think some front offices would think. Him sitting out for a full year and then him being 27 years old, like, he's not going to get $15 million a year. Like, say that dude is not getting $15 million a year this year. He is sure as hell not getting $15 million next year when he sits out a full year and does not play at all. Like, he's going to sit out a couple of training camps here and there, but he'll play. Because if not, then he makes literally zero money. Literally zero money. We have RM56. I think if Cook shows up in the playoffs again like he did last year, he's getting paid. He was going off versus the Chiefs. Yeah, for sure. I find it funny how all the players that said nothing got new deals, but the one playing that opened his mouth did not get one. See, it's funny because like this James Cook discussion has always been interesting to me, largely because I'm literally smack dab in the middle. Like people that act like James Cook is like God, like he's like top 2, top 3 running backs in the league. I'm like, come on, dude. Like, why do you think Ty Johnson is so electric? Like for the Buffalo Bills, like why are people so enamored about Ty Johnson? Why were people so enamored about the very limited sample size we got from Ray Davis, but very productive sample size from Ray Davis? A lot of it has to do with the offensive line, right? But then I'm also upset with people that say, oh, Cook, he sucks. He blows, man. Like, we want nothing to do with him. That is not the case at all. He's very talented, and he brings quite a bit to the table. Sometimes I hear people say, oh, he doesn't block. Like, we run a lot of jumbo package, right? Like we really don't need a running back to be a blocker if we run a shit ton of jumbo package, which we do. So I feel like I'm one of the few that's really in the middle of the aisle with the Cook situation. Number one, I know that he's going to be playing for us in 2025, right? Like he's under contract. And some people just be like, oh, like, why don't we trade him? This is literally the deepest running back class in the draft ever. Ever. No one's trading for James Cook with how deep this like class is. Nothing is going for James Cook for a contract and or whatever. So he's on the team. That's what's happening. Maybe he signs one prior to training camp. Who knows what's going to happen? Who knows what's going to happen? I could care less if we pay him $8 million. I could care less if we pay him 15. Just kind of how it is. It's just kind of how it is. I still think this team would be completely fine and we would not change at all in 2025 without him. I think Ray Davis would be a solid player. For Sprague's the best current defensive coordinator. So the game plan for Cook speaks volumes, expendable. So highly disagree. So I think we make it happen after he balls out next year and or he goes somewhere else. Spideyman is saying, I love it. It's gaining a lot of popularity with out-of-state people moving here, but an extremely beautiful city located on the Tennessee River, surrounded by the mountains. All right. All right. All right. All right. Dude, y'all know that I'm trying to get to the mountains. And so I've lived on the beach really ever since I was 13, 14 years old. Right. So like I'm getting sick of fucking beach towns, bro. Like screw the beach, man. Sand sucks. Sand blows. I'm a mountain guy. It's in my veins. So I have been shopping around a little bit. I'm seeing if a relocation makes it happen. So the others got deals is because they were fine with being shafted by Bean. Cook wants value. Shakir was fine with a 40-year deal equal to less than 1 year if chases. I mean, so the grass is not always greener on the other side. Like we could be the Cincinnati Bengals who like account for like 75% of their cap space on 3 players where their defense is like a junior varsity. But I mean, so it is what it is. So it is what it is. So I think that it's actually pretty good. Senke is saying, say hypothetically Cook suffers a season-ending injury, and do you really put faith in a guy cut by the Jets and or Ray Davis, or would there be a mid-season signing like Cooper? He'd be solid, dude. Like, dude, like look at like what Ray Davis was able to do with the limited amount of snaps that he had, right? Like he'd be fine. Like, so do I want James Cook on this team? Sure. Absolutely. He's going to be. He's going to be. He's gonna be. See, I feel like a lot of people are like nervous. Like, there's like, oh my God, like in 2026, he's not gonna be on this team. Like, so how do we know that like we don't walk away with like a crazy sleeper at the wide receiver position? Or say, for example, that we completely end up switching over our mentality. Because remember, guys, like we ended up like really dodging a bullet for the most part that Joe Brady did not accept a head coaching position, right? I have news for you. Like with Joe Brady is probably going to accept a head coaching position next year, like more than likely. Just how it is. Same exact thing that happened with Brian Dable, and the following year he, sort of ultimately ended up getting that deal. So who knows if we have the exact same Joe Brady scheme the first year of our brand new stadium in 2026. We could completely shift, like based off of what it's looking for. So I feel like it's not really that big of a deal that people are trying to make it out to be because he's on this team. He has no leverage. So it's either he plays or he makes $0 and hurts his stock next year in free agency. And who knows? Maybe we end up giving him a deal in training camp. Like I said, I'd be fine with it. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here. Dave, personally, I just don't like how he's handling the negotiations. I feel like he's pulling a Diggs kind of move. So again, right? Like I'm going to go on ahead and play devil's advocate again. He is not acting any different than we do at our careers. Zero. Right? Like honestly, man, like I'd say with each and every single person that works in a variety of different realms, like we always want more money, right? Like we want a damn raise because we think that we have like a highly sort of so in certain area of where we believe that we are from a skill set, highly elevated confidence level. Say that you were to ask us, like, hell yeah, dude, I deserve to be paid top 1% of all the company because I work my ass off. Like what these players do when they want their money, it's no different to how anybody wants a raise in any sort of sector on the face of the planet, guys. Like this is a job, right? Like this is a job for all of these players. So I never really get pissed off like when I see players demand a certain amount of money because I feel like I'd be a hypocrite, right? I feel like I'd be a hypocrite because I'm sure that, and so I've done that before. He says, exactly, Dan, we would fight for an extra penny and people are mad at Cook that he wants to be fairly paid just because the other guys were fine with taking less. Yeah, I mean, dude, right? It's sort of how it is. Like, I'm like never mad at players for like naming their price. Like, I never am because we all would act the exact same thing if we like heard somebody we grew up with that's in the exact same industry gets paid, like $20 an hour extra than we do. Hell yeah, we'd be pissed. Hell yeah, we'd march into our boss's office immediately and say, I demand that you give me some favorable market rates. It's just, that's why I'm never pissed off at players like that. Yeah, but I'm not going to post on social media, so I need 15 million from my company. Eh, sometimes that's, so the only way, right? And certain people, like, so they try and settle or have their own, I don't know, different strokes for different folks. Number one, CT Bills fan. I think a fair contract for Cook would be $27 million for 3 years at $18 million guaranteed. So to be honest with you, I think that what Cook really wants is guaranteed money because as we know, an AAV contract is stupid and it's not something that we should be looking into and or like having a lot of weight or putting a lot of weight into it. It is a business and the player has to look out for his own personal business. Donut Bob. Hey, Dan, I got here late. Is there anything crazy that happened? So the Tush Push ultimately ended up getting postponed until the May meeting. Where it stands, there are only 16 votes in favor to ban it. So in my opinion, I think we're going to have it in 2025. The reseeding of the playoffs is also being tabled until May. Now we are seeing that certain calls from the referees that are like phantom face masks or penalties against a defender, if there was a flag, now we're going to be able to have an opportunity of getting it reversed due to replay assist. Now the kickoff, when there is a touchback, it's being set at the 35-yard line. I think the NFL is trying to increase the amount of kick returns. I don't believe it's ever going to change at all. Yeah, I think that's all the rules that we have seen changed already. Very, very excited to keep you guys updated. Dave Rock is saying Cook should have been paid. He was a lot of our success last season. Really think about it, Dave Rock. Red, white, and Bills. If Shakir said, I want 16 a year, and with everyone would say he sucks and let him walk like they are, but Cook, but everybody loves him. Here's the deal, too. I feel like people would have paid Mac Hollins that, too. And that never made any sense to me because Mac Hollins was like average, like for this team, like average. And people, oh my God, dude. Bro, like we would have walked away. Oh my God, dude. Like you could have saw like some stupid contract for like 25 million per year and people would have been celebrating a Mac Hollins contract extension. It's funny how these things work. So I just think it's best to keep private behind closed doors and avoid bringing drama to the team. Feel you on that, brother. Feel you on that, baby. RM56, Allen Cook, Shakir Dawkins, the heart of our offense. Ken is saying push tush should stay the same. Well, I will tell you what, Ken, it sounds like it's trending in that direction because it has been tabled and we will see. But folks, that's going to have to do it for another edition of Dom Mafia Live. I sincerely appreciate you for tuning in. For those of you that are listening on audio on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, I highly recommend and I ask that you leave a rating and review and be completely honest. Certainly would appreciate that. And I also recommend that you come on over to YouTube as well, because as you can see, I yap for about 10 to 15 minutes at the beginning of each episode. And then afterwards, I transition exclusively over to the live chat for a question and answer segment. I love engaging with these guys over here. So smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time.